Hello, Cancers, and welcome to this, your May 15th through May 31st reading and predictions. For those of you who are returning, you may notice that my background has changed yet again. This is because I have traveled since the last time I came to you all the way out to Medicine Hat, Alberta, and I am coming to you from my cousin's man cave. So enjoy the scenery. He was gracious enough to allow me to record from inside the man cave. Okay, for those of you who are new here, a very, very warm welcome to each and every one of you. I would like to just let you know that I work with a number of different tarot decks as well as a number of different oracle card decks. I pull all of the cards up front and then I leave them sitting face down. The reason that I do this is I only turn them over once I'm actually ready to read them. And this allows for more of the psychic or intuitive insights to come in without me being unduly influenced by what I've already seen within the cards. This gives the readings a little bit more oomph, in my humble opinion. This reading is good for anybody born under the sign of Cancer, as well as anybody with a significant amount of Cancer within their charts. Let's get started. The first cards that we're going to pull for you, Cancer, are going to be cards of where you are at now, here in the middle of May as I begin and as I record this video for you. I record the videos twice a month, once in the middle of each month and once at the end of each month, with the intention of covering the first half and the second half of each month. All right. Oops, nope, that one goes there because that was the first card out. Okay. The next card that we're going to pull for you is a card of focus. What are you focusing on? What are the Cancers focusing on for the last half of May 2023? Ooh, we've got big cards coming out. I am catching a glimpse of these because they flipped over as they came out. Is there anything else for Cancer in their focus? Okay. All right. These two cards get flipped down. Okay. The next card that we're going to pull is a card of difficult influences. What are the difficult influences influencing you, Cancer, at this time? Difficult influences for Cancer, last half of May 2023. Cards are getting a little messy here, but nothing seemed to want to actually flip out. So let's go through the deck one more time. Difficult influences for Cancer. Oh, there's one. Okay. Difficult influences. There is a card that's turned funny, so I think we'll pull that one out of the deck. Is there anything else for Cancer for difficult influences? Yeah. Okay, so see how there's one card that didn't go back in the deck? We're going to take that one. All right. The next card that we're going to pull for you, Cancer, is a card that just makes sense. Now, for those of you who are returning, you've heard this before. For those of you who are new, the card that just makes sense is a card that does one of two things in the reading. Either if the reading seems disjointed and the first card or two doesn't seem to kind of align up with each other, the card that just makes sense begins to pull the whole reading together. The other thing that the card that just makes sense does for our reading is quite often it will have the identical meaning to another card in your reading, thus giving you that double reinforcement that the energy behind that card, the intention behind that card is really, really important. So where are we going for a card that just makes sense? We're going over here to the traditional tarot. Card that just makes sense. Ooh. All right, we're going to have to mix these cards up because we have so many cards flipping out right now. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to say you have a lot of stuff that's coming into alignment here, Cancer. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these cards that all jumped out. I just want to make sure they're all facing the right direction, because that's how I work. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Those two are going to stay together just the way they came out. Okay. Is there anything else for Cancer to be aware of for this makes sense at this time? Okay. Yeah, there's one more card there. Anything else? Nope. Okay. All right. The next card that we're going to pull for you is cards of unexpected. Let's see what is unexpected for you. Back over here to the Fairy Tarot. Unexpected insights, unexpected influences for Cancer, May 15th through May 31st. We do have one card again that's sticking out differently from all the rest of the cards. So I'll grab that one in just a moment. Is there anything else in unexpected for Cancer? Okay, we're going to pull that one out and that one coming out too. Yeah. All right, I'm going to just go into those two. This one for sure. Getting told just to leave that one off to the side. It may or may not come up. Okay. And the final cards that we're going to pull are the final outcome for you, Cancer. And these cards are the cards that predict or project the energies the furthest out of your entire reading, predicting or projecting the outcome for Cancer, where they are anticipated to be and what is anticipated to be influencing them at the end of the month. Here's one card. Is there anything else for Cancer? Go through the deck one more time. Typically, it's not just a solitary outcome, but it might be. Anything else for the outcome for Cancer? Oh, it looks like you just have one card for your outcome. Yeah, the end of the deck. Okay, fair enough. Where are you at now, Cancer? Okay, so Cancer, you have three cards that have come out here, and one of them is in the reversed position. So the first card that we have is joy and delight. Open your heart to joy, except that it's come out in the reverse position, which is telling me that right now, Cancer, here as I'm doing this reading in the middle of May, you're not experiencing this joy and delight that you are intended to be enjoying. This may be for a couple of reasons outlined in these two cards. Discovering your truth. You stand in the light of truth. Now, if you are discovering something about someone else, wherein perhaps they were not standing in their truth, that may be preventing you from experiencing some joy and delight at this time. The other card that you have in your where you're at now is stepping into power. You are strong beyond measure. Now, quite often, when we're in that position of discovering truth, seeing things from a different perspective, I'm wondering if the Hanged Man might come out here for you, because this discovering truth card is about seeing things from a different perspective, Cancer. And it's also about you standing in the light of truth. The unfortunate thing is that the saying that's coming up is the truth can hurt. The truth isn't always sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. Okay. Sometimes the truth is the hardest thing to have to speak. And so I'm thinking that as you're discovering this truth, both the possibility that somebody perhaps wasn't as honest with you as they could have been, or you are discovering own truths about yourself and seeing things from a different perspective. That's why this joy and delight card has come out in the reverse for you. The stepping into your own power and the realization that you're strong beyond measure. The other card that may come out in alignment with this one might be the Magician. Who knows? We will look at the rest of the cards in just a moment. But when you're doing this type of work, when you're stepping up and stepping into your power, sometimes it requires you to step back from your everyday life. It requires you to make some changes. It requires you to adjust who your friends are and who you want to hang out with, who you are going to disclose your deepest, darkest secrets to. And that's part of discovering the truth, right? Knowing who your friends are. And this, of course, can affect your joy and your delight in your life. So these cards really do work together. Let's set these ones down and have a look at what you're focusing on. So these two cards actually came out together. They jumped kind of separately and they did flip over. So I did get a quick peek at them. They are very, very powerful cards. You have both the Emperor and the Empress. Pretty powerful cards. So these cards are consecutive cards in the major arcana of the tarot. And being consecutive cards, they're showing consecutive growth for you at this time, that you are focusing on doing things in a somewhat linear fashion in order to be able to continue to grow, your spirituality, as well as growing the way that you do certain things. Okay. So the Empress is about taking action. The Empress is about your finances, and she lives in a life of luxury, and she's not willing to accept anything other than the life of luxury. The other thing about the Empress is she is also a rather intuitive being. Okay. She surrounds herself with people that she can trust. The Emperor is about logic. The Emperor is about structure. So with these two cards coming out together as well, we have an Empress and an Emperor. This is also about you potentially partnering with someone here, end of May, mid to late May, 2023. There's a good possibility that you're going to partner with someone, not necessarily in a romantic way, Cancer, but definitely in the manner of business, some kind of business partnership, mentorship of some kind. And as much as this reading is not about male and female, it's more about masculine energies and feminine energies. Because we have both the feminine and the masculine represented in these two cards in your focus, I do want to say that what I'm picking up is, in all likelihood, the person with whom you will partner and do some business with is probably going to be the opposite of you. Okay. Now, like I said, this doesn't mean that if you were born a female that you are going to partner with a born male. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying is that if you are a female with dominant masculine energies, okay, where you're strong, you're logical, you put your nose to the grindstone and you just get the work done in a very linear fashion and so on, chances are whom you will attract as a partner will be someone with very feminine qualities, where they do business in a softer, more feminine way, where they use their intuition in what they're doing rather than their logic, and vice versa, right? If you are a male with very masculine qualities, you may be attracting or calling in a mentor or partner with feminine qualities. And so it works all these different ways, but either way, whichever you are dominant in, I suspect that you will be calling in the opposite for the purposes of doing business over the coming weeks and months is what's coming up for me. I'm sensing that this is a long-lasting relationship or partner that you are coming into at this time, Cancer. That kind of makes sense because you're stepping into your power right now and you're discovering your truth. And you're discovering that if you have those dominant masculine qualities in business, for example, where you're kind of forceful, in your face, very logical and linear, chances are a partnership with somebody who is the same way is going to eventually, like you may be on the same page today, but eventually you guys are going to really, really butt heads. Okay. Versus somebody with very masculine qualities in business, partnering with somebody who has those feminine qualities of bringing in intuition, bringing in a different style of being able to negotiate. And that's really what I'm seeing here for you, Cancer, is this shift in the way that you perceive business and the way that you conduct business at this time. Let's have a look at your difficult influences. Right. Okay. So the very first thing is difficult influences. You have the mind. This is telling me that right now you are caught up in your thoughts. You are caught up in the Emperor energy, this more masculine, logical, linear way of thinking and way of doing things, wherein also when the mind card comes up, it's a question of there is one way to do things and one way only. Black is black and white is white. And there is no in between. There is no gray. Okay. This is one of the things that you are bumping up against right now, Cancer, during the period May 15th through May 31st. And what this card is actually telling you to do is it's okay to get out of your mind. It's okay to be in that gray area a little bit. You'll notice as well that this is from the suit of clouds. It's about being in that gray area and accepting the gray area, but you may struggle and bump up against that. And the other thing that you have coming in here is the King of Cups, also known as the card of healing from this particular deck. This is telling me two things. This came up in your difficult influences. So first, the King of Cups is the only king in the tarot who exhibits more feminine type qualities, that gentleness, that intuition, that going with the flow type energy. Okay. That's one of the things that you may struggle up against. That actually is not surprising when you have the mind card coming up with it, because the mind card is about being logical and linear. This is saying that you're going to bump heads. There's a duality going on. Actually, you know, having both the Emperor and the Empress come up, that's about a duality going on as well. The other thing that I want to say about this card coming up in your difficult influences, Cancer, is pay really close attention to your health at this time. May 15th through May 31st, the intended time frame for which this reading is intended. I said intended more than a few times there. So what this card is telling me in your difficult influences is, you know, pay really close attention to your health right now. Whatever that looks like for you. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical practitioner. So I'm not able to give you direct specific advice when it comes to your health. All I can say is in a general overall umbrella type way, whatever it looks like for you, whether that be taking supplements, whether that bump up your hygiene, whether that be washing your hands more frequently, whether that be, you know, avoiding contact or going into certain areas, whatever it looks like for you to look after your health, this card in your difficult influences is indicating that. Now, intuitively and psychically, I'm not picking up an OMG type moment in any way, shape, or form. Possibility for maybe a scratchy throat or something like that. Possibility for a stubbed toe in the middle of the night. Things like this, where it's going to kind of remind you to take care of your body. Okay. Let's have a look at what's coming in for this makes sense. Oh, remember what I said at the beginning of this reading before I was pulling the cards that just make sense? That the cards that just make sense oftentimes have identical meanings to other cards in your reading, thus bringing in that double confirmation. Well, here's one of them. Here's what I'm talking about. You have the Empress in Just Make Sense. Where else do you have the Empress? It's something that you're focusing on. Okay. The Empress is about bringing in the niceties of life. It's about bringing in some of the luxuries of life. It's about bringing things together. And it's about being successful, but being successful by way of using the feminine qualities and the intuition and the gentle, subtle art of negotiation. So this is your double. This is your double confirmation to make sure that anything that you're doing, dealing with business, job, career, or money, that you are bringing in the qualities of the Empress. You also have the Hermit in your this just makes sense. Okay. The Hermit is about withdrawing from society for a period of time in order to be able to go within and determine exactly who you are and the direction that you want to take. I can tell you, Cancer, after doing a number of the other zodiac signs already this month, you are not the only one that has had Hermit or Hermit-like cards to come out with advice for you this month to ensure that you are doing more of that internal work. Because at this time, as the world is changing as a whole, we need to know who we are on such a deep level. And so, yeah, this is definitely, you need to make an effort to connect with you, to connect with your guides, to connect with divine guidance, whatever name you choose to put on it. Even if your meditation practice is solely for the purposes of slowing down this. Oh yeah, wait a minute. Didn't you have that in your difficult influences? Yeah, you did. The mind. So if your mind is constantly racing and you're constantly moving ahead and you're doing this, right? And doing it in a linear, mechanical way, the Hermit saying, no, eventually you're going to have to slow down and do things a little differently. You also have the Knight of Wands who has come in to tell you that you can be that ambitious, successful leader. And the Knight of Wands can be a little bit unpredictable, but successful, determined leader sound like any of the other cards that you got in your reading? I think so. These two cards have very, very similar meanings. Okay. All right, let's have a look at your unexpected. Okay. Yeah. All right. And you did have one other card that I set off to the side. Yeah. Okay. I am going to read that last card. I wasn't sure if it was going to make, if it was really intended to come out, but it actually really, really works in this. Okay, so you've got the Three of Spring, also known as the Three of Wands, coming in here. This is a card of make sure when you're doing all of this partnering and looking at your business right now, Cancer, when you're looking at doing all of this, make sure you're doing all of it with a view to the long-term future. This isn't about making short-term plans. This is about long-term, move things ahead. The other thing that the Three of Spring or Three of Wands brings into us is she expects patience. You have the Five of Spring coming in. So you have here 3, 5, 7. Okay. 3, 5, 7. So you have the Five of Spring coming up here. The Five of Spring, also known as the Five of Wands, whenever we have a 5 here, it's about getting to that point of doing this. Butting heads with someone or something. It is about opposing views. It's about the masculine versus the feminine, right? Remember I said a few minutes ago that this also carries with it a duality, and the Five of Spring is about duality. The Five of Spring is about opposing opinions and opposing goals coming into your life. This card is also a card for the ambitious people out there who are going to overcome whatever opposing opinions get presented in front of themselves. And the final card that you have is the Seven of Autumn, also known as the Seven of Pentacles. What does the Seven of Autumn or Seven of Pentacles want from you? Patience. Patience when it comes to money, patience when it comes to work, job, or career. You'll notice the character on this card is a young fairy sitting on a pumpkin, contemplating next steps. Cancer, the Hermit. Okay. Let's have a look at your general overall outcome. General overall outcome. Now we know why there was only one card. You have the final card in the major arcana of the tarot. You have the completion card. What does this tell me? This tells me, Cancer, that by the end of the month, by the end of May 2023, you will be at the point where you will be closing off an aspect of your life. Never to look back. Okay, well, you might look back and go, yeah, I'm not going there again. Or you might look back longingly at some point in time, but then decide not to go back. The bottom line is that you have been in a phase of life recently, as we all have. But this is telling me that you're moving ahead, and you're moving ahead more quickly than some of the other zodiac signs with regards to completing this phase of life and looking forward into the next, which means that I suspect next month we might be looking at some pretty big change cards for you. But this is the card of completion. It's the card of putting the last piece of the puzzle in with regards to the lessons that you needed to learn in this stage of your life. What lessons did you need to learn? Balance between the masculine and the feminine, that there's a duality, that there could be opposing views. You needed to learn to bring patience into what it is that you do. You got double confirmation of the Empress here, which is calling upon you to bring more of those feminine energies into that which you wish to achieve. You were asked to get out of your mind some more and practice a little bit more meditation and quiet time. All of these things are building you towards completion of a cycle. Now, this could be completion of your current work, job, or career. I do want to say that I'm picking up for some of you, this may mean like a mini retirement, or a huge shift in work, job, or career. But this is a card of completion. It's a card of, I'm done here. I've learned my lessons and I'm ready to move on. Okay. Going back to these very first cards that I read for you, this joy and delight can be turned around this way. Once you reach this point of completion, but for 2 or 2.5 weeks in May, you're going to be going through this, discovering your truth, stepping into your power, finding the balance between the Emperor and the Empress in your life, finding that balance between the logic versus the intuitive way of doing things, finding the balance between the masculine and the feminine. Overall, Cancer, this is a really, really lovely reading for you. And it's all about finding your new balance so that you can complete a cycle of, or a section of learning in your life. And when you do that, brand new doors are going to open up for you. Thank you so much for being here, Cancer. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that you will join me again at the beginning of June. Thank you.